All right. Well, first of all, thank you to everyone for joining us today. We're going to go through the data mining capabilities that are built into SQL Server, and we're going to talk about application integration scenarios. So first off, my name is Chris Price. I am a senior consultant with Microsoft. I work in the Microsoft Premier Developer Group, focusing almost exclusively on business intelligence. And my slides are not advancing here. All right. So our objectives today, again, this is a fairly, we only have an hour, so we're certainly not going to get too deep. Our objectives today are going to be first to level set. We're going to describe what data mining is for anybody that's not familiar with it. We'll talk about its purpose, and we'll talk about a general data mining methodology. We'll introduce SQL Server as a platform for doing data mining, and we'll talk about what algorithms it comes with out of the box and the tool set that you have available to work with those algorithms. And then we'll highlight different data mining application integration scenarios. All right, so first off, what is data mining and why has it become more important? And this all boils down to a problem that's been around for many years, but has come more to the forefront, particularly as things like big data have bubbled up to the top. We typically have way too much data and not enough information, and it's not practical for us to, in an unassisted manner, analyze that data to convert it to information. So this is really where data mining comes from. This is where we start using algorithms and techniques to do things like explore data or look for patterns that maybe aren't apparent. It also allows us to do more machine learning type of activities like prediction or generate recommendations. The basis of these are that knowledge discovery and where we're trying to get to translate data into information. A key to this that most people don't understand is that this is an iterative process. This isn't something that you typically build once or you get it right the first time and then you take it and run with it. This is something that you'll have to iteratively do over and over again for it to continue to be meaningful. One of the keys here, and before we move forward, is that data mining is a key part of a robust BI solution. So typically in today's landscape, it's not enough for us to just provide some reports. We have to provide some analytics behind that report, and typically that's going to come in some form of data mining. It isn't always necessary to do prediction. It may be that we're using data mining to do some data quality or scrubbing for outliers. Maybe that we're doing some sort of trending or forecasting, or it could be that we're actually doing prediction. So if we look at data mining in context and where it actually fits in with the larger BI stack, and some of you guys may have seen this chart or a similar chart in other presentations. Where we start with is obviously canned reporting. That's our typical printed type of report that you're going to hand to a manager and executive in your company. We're simply presenting data or information in this aspect, and this is considered a very passive form of interaction with the data. There's not much you can do with these types of report beyond just looking at them. From there, we actually get into ad hoc reporting. Now, obviously, we're getting more interactive at this point. If you're familiar with reporting services, it may be something where we parameterized a report, and that's not true ad hoc reporting, but that's more towards ad hoc reporting, where we're allowing the user to change the context of what they're looking at. Now, this certainly does allow the user to do some exploration, but it's really a guided type of exploration that we're allowing, and it's really not beyond the way the report is built. There's not a whole lot that we can capitalize on. The next logical step is OLAP, and when we say OLAP, what we typically are referring to is a multidimensional cube built on top of a star schema data warehouse. In this respect, we using tools like Excel, we give users the ability to work, A, in a very interactive environment, and B, to truly do data exploration so that they can take control of whatever they're looking for. They can poke and prod around the data to look for patterns or look for trends or whatever the case may be. The step beyond that is where we really get into data mining. And data mining is typically very proactive. We typically don't see data mining situations, data mining in reactive type situations. And it's going to lead to discovery. When we take these two together, this is really where we get into the predictive analysis that you hear referred to so often nowadays in the field of business intelligence. So what are some data mining examples? And I'm sure you guys run across some of these day in and day out. We can do things like customer churn analysis, and really what we're trying to accomplish with something like customer churn analysis is we try to identify either responsive or unresponsive customers. We want to identify those customers who are going to stop using our service prior to them actually stopping service if we are some sort of service provider. We could do data validation and correction. So this is a fairly common approach in a data warehouse. We can identify values that are outside the norm or look for outliers. We can look for potentially incorrect data, and we'll actually look at an example of that here in a little bit. Fraud detection and risk management is another example. You may have received a phone call or an email from one of your credit card companies that identify potentially fraudulent transactions. Those are all based on data mining models that they're using to identify those transactions that are potentially high risk. Many of the marketing campaigns and promotions, if the mail you receive in your mailbox or the emails you receive, a lot of that is data mining driven. So they're trying to minimize cost by only mailing to prospects that have a propensity to buy. And a lot of that is accomplished through data mining. The same can be said for product recommendation, whether it's cross-selling or upselling. We see a lot of that via collaborative filtering that occurs on sites like Amazon and other e-commerce sites. And then finally, we can do advanced forecasting of sales. So we can do things like identify seasonal trends and actually forecast what our potential sales are, or other values such as call volumes or customer inquiries or anything that we would need to forecast within our business.